Genesis chapter 10. The reason why I'm going into Genesis chapter 10, because I wanted to go to Genesis chapter 1. We had last week at the camp, we had wanted to go into Genesis 1, 2, and 3, and maybe 4, and maybe even 5. So when we went into it, we got past the first verse, and the Spirit sent us someplace else. That's how the Spirit works. So yesterday, by the way, today's date is January 9th, 2021, year of hastening of the coming of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai and the kingdom. And we hope this year that the Most High sends His Son and the angels to deliver us this year. Anyway, yesterday there was a video put up by Apostle Orion Lob. He was dealing with the book of Genesis. He's going into Genesis, the first chapter. And I believe the name of the title of the video was In the Beginning. So right away I knew he was talking about Genesis, the first chapter. Now, Genesis, the first chapter, we don't have to break down the entire chapter because it's pretty much self-explanatory, except for certain verses that you have to break down. Like the most important verse is the very first verse, which says, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth." Now, if you're a Christian and you open up the Bible and you read that verse, you think that it's the Most High Himself, the supreme power, which the Lord, the supreme power, wasn't even thought about in that particular verse. In that verse, the first verse, that word. Now you have to go into the Hebrew. The Hebrew word for God is the word Elohim. Allah meaning power or God, so you can understand. And the Yum or Allah Yum, or the Yum means plural. So if you're going to read it correctly, the word would be, in the beginning, the gods made the heavens and the earth, which was the angels, which was led by the chief angel, if you will, Yahushai, because they received a commandment from Yahweh. Now you have these Christians, you have individuals like Vocab Malone is saying that so-called Jesus and the Father are the same. No, they're not the same. The Father is over His Son, and he was commissioned to build the universe. That's why that last Saturday we went into Hebrews 1 verse 1, I believe we did, and we also went into John 1 verse 1. So the Lord opened up the eyes of John to understand the Genesis 1 verse 1. He knew that was the Lord. Anyway, so I saw the video, and in the video that Apostle Ramlab did, he had mentioned that Elder Yashawamba, the GMS Dallas camp, I guess he had went into, which I got to see it. He mentioned that he put up a video dealing with Genesis, I believe 1, 2, and 3. So Rhyme Lot was laying backing off of it. Now I don't know if he just went ahead and did it, or he saw the Saturday outside speaking and decided to do it. Because sometimes when you're outside, you go by the Spirit. You know, when you do these sit downs, that's why it's important to do these sit downs as well, because you're by yourself. You know, the best way to really do a video to, you know, go into it and stick with the topic is really by yourself or maybe one or two others. You know, that's why, you know, we used to do the sit downs together, but it's good that you do your sit downs and sometimes you do videos by yourself, because you know, somebody else could bring out another scripture and take it to another, you know, take it to a different level. But it all works through the Spirit anyway. So I said, you know what? The Spirit's on them to do Genesis 1, 2, and 3, whatever, 4. Because people out there don't understand it. You have to understand Ezekiel chapter 3 speaks about eating the whole roll. You know, you can't just know certain amount of scriptures and like prophecies. We got to know the whole roll, which we mostly deal with prophecies. Me myself, I always deal with prophecies. I always deal with the whole book of Revelation, Daniel, Jeremiah, Isaiah. I'm always going into those books because that's the spirit that's on me, that I go into a lot of prophetic things, because we're in the fulfillment of the last few prophecies, excuse me. Like, for example, we do a lot of videos ad nauseum, look that word up, on the mark of the beast. And there's a reason why we do that, because that's a major, major, major prophecy that's getting ready to come to pass. That you have other camps that say it doesn't mean what we say it means. So now when it actually comes to pass, and it is coming to pass before our eyes, which is the microchip, or the, you know, people say, well, is the vaccinations the same as the mark of the beast? Well, my answer to you is, I wouldn't take any of them. I wouldn't take the so-called microchip. I wouldn't take the vaccination. I wouldn't take any of them, because they're saying that there's nanoparticles in there which will change your DNA. I'm not going to put something in me that's going to change my DNA. I was listening to somebody, a couple of people, they said if you was to take the DNA of your body and stretch it out, I think they said it would be like 2 billion miles long. So that's a lot of DNA in there. And that's short for a word that is a long word. I mean, you can put it in the description box. And it's your makeup. It's what makes you up, you know? Anyway, they're trying to change that. They're trying to change you as an individual. Like there's a thing called the VMAT 2, which they call the God gene. And there's certain videos and documents that they're saying that they want to destroy the God gene. I'm not no scientist, but you know, Esau, it says that Esau is more wiser than Daniel, and Daniel was super wise. He was a wise man. But the scriptures say that this devil is wiser than Daniel because of his science. Anyway, let's come back into the subject. This is Genesis, and I'm gonna pick out certain parts. I'm just gonna kind of, I don't know if I'll read it straight through, but I just want to go into it, and then I can always come back. Anyway, it says Genesis 10 verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah. Shem, which means name, Ham, or Chum, which means hot, and Japhet, which is Yapath, which means enlarged. And unto them were sons born after the flood. Now, every person that you see on the planet Earth, for the ones of you out there that are coming on this page and other pages dealing with Israel, every person that you see on the planet Earth comes from one of these three sons, Ham, Shem, or Japheth. Now, even the scholars, they know that the sons of Ham are Africans. All you got to do is go to Google, put Ham, the sons of Ham Bible, and they'll tell you. They know that the Cushites are the Ethiopians of today, which today the Ethiopians still refer to themselves as Cushites. I have a relative that married a Cushite, which he could be a Jake. And I told him that he was a Cush, and he said, "Oh yeah, I know I'm Cush. I know I'm Cush in the scriptures." You know, and you have scholars that also say that they know who the Egyptians are. They know that they're the people of the Sudan, which is south of Egypt, because they were pushed out by the Ptolemaic dynasty, and then later on the Arab tribes, which is Ishmael and the other tribes of that region, pushed them out. So they're going around like they're the actual Egyptians. The actual Egyptians are south of the Sudan, and they look just the actual Sudan, the Sudanese people, they actually look like the ancient Egyptians. They're real, super dark. You might call them black, and they're freakishly tall. You know, anytime I go to the Met down in Manhattan, when you go in there, you immediately go to the right, and that's the Egyptian section, and you'll see you look at the pictures on the wall, or the wall reliefs, whatever you call it, the icons, whatever you want to call it, that go back thousands of years. They look just like, if you compared them to anybody on the planet Earth, they would be the Sudanese people. You would think about Manute Bo. Manute Bo was an actual direct descendant of the people of Mizraim, which you had the Philistines. The Philistines were from Mizraim. They were so-called Egyptians. They were freakishly tall. I met Manute Bo when he was alive, when he was in college, and this dude, my head reached up to his kneecap, maybe a little bit. He was free. He was like, you go into the gym, you see him, that's the first thing you're gonna put your eyes on. That dude was freakishly tall. What was he? I think he was almost, if he was not 8, I think he was almost 8 feet. Somebody can put the information in there. But I remember when he was in college, and people already knew he was going to get drafted, and you know, this is, we talking about early 80s, maybe late 70s, early 80s, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, Genesis 10 verse 1, out of Noah came Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Out of those three, they populated the whole planet Earth. This guy that's down with vocab, damn. He got a feminine spirit on. He got the dreadlocks. So real. He had said in one video or comment board or something, he said that all these people that you see on the earth, I'm putting words into his mouth, I forget exactly how he said it. He said these people that you see on the earth, they just came on the scene. We don't know who they are, but they came from one of these three sons. If you don't understand that, then you don't understand the scriptures. East Indians, Pakistanians, people of Pakistan, they go back to Elam, and that's mentioned in the Bible, in the scriptures. Elam in India. India is actually mentioned in the scriptures side by side with Elam. the Ishmaelites. You have people in the Middle East that call themselves Ishmaelites, and they know about Abraham. You got to remember that the people in that region of the Fertile Crescent, as they call it, or the Levant, those are all biblical people. That's why you say, like the Edomites, they'll say, well, Christian scholars will say the Edomites are done away with, because when you go to the Middle East, where are the Edomites? Well, the Edomites scattered, they left out of that land. It's no big deal. The Moabites and Ammonites, they left out of that land. There could be remnants of them in that land. Just like Israel left out of that land. And that's why you have these Edomites over there saying that they're Jews, because the original Israelites, the true Israelites, you go back to the history, 70 AD, actually it was 66 to 74 AD, where they were warring with the Romans and the Edomites, and then it was pushed out of that land. They had to leave the land. So you had those Arab, I'll use the word Arab, just means mix. Those were the Midianites and the Ishmaelites and all those other tribes mixed with some of the Canaanites. And the Canaanites are actually some of the Africans. Now, the high priest Ariel said that the Canaanites are South Africans, but a lot of those South Africans are actually Israelites. They have the flavor of the Israelite, man. So this is, you know, this right here going into the Genesis is heavy, because you can go so many different directions based upon Genesis 10 verse 1. So let's read Genesis 10 verse 1 again. It says, now these are the generations of the sons of Noah. And by the way, Noah, Nawak means comfort, because he received comfort from that flood. He was comforted. Shem, which means the name, Ham, which means hot, and Japheth, which means enlarged. And unto them were sons born after the flood. And every nation, ancient, that goes back to the ancient times, they all have a story of the flood. And I believe in Chinese, I don't know if it's Cantonese, I'm not an expert on Chinese, but I know that there's at least two separate languages of the Chinese people, but the character for 8, or the letter for 8, is an actual picture of a ship with sails on it. And the reason why they said the reason why 8 is like a picture of a ship or a boat, a big boat, is because there were 8 people that were delivered. So they knew that story, because where did the Chinese come from? They came from Moab. Where did Moab come from? They came from the Hebrews. They were Hebrews. Anyway, the sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog and Madai. Now Gomer and Magog or Gog are the so-called Russian, Edomite Russians. So you have certain Israelite groups that'll say, yeah, well, the so-called white men are Japhetic. No, they're not. The so-called white men and white women, or so-called white people, are Edomites. Now, the reason why these Hebrew groups say that is because who are living it all up in Europe, because the sons of Japheth lived up in Europe in the various isles and so forth. Well, what happened was, in history, Esau then took them over and pushed them out. It said the sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog and Madai and Javin and Tubal and Meshech and Tyrus. The sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz. Now Ashkenaz, you got a certain sect of so-called Jews that call themselves Ashkenazi Jews. Well, the reason why they call people dwelt in. So the so-called Jews, their line does not go back to Ashkenaz. They just call themselves that because of that plot of land. And Rephath and Togarmah, and the sons of Javan, Elisha and Tashish and Kittim, which is Kittim is Cyprus today, and that's where, when you go into the records of Alexander the Greek, he came out of he was supposedly born out of the land of Kittim. Dodanim, by these were the isles of the Gentiles, divided because they were Gentiles in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families, in their nations, What did Deuteronomy, what is that? Deuteronomy 32:8 says? Matter of fact, let me go to that. Basic scripture. So the Most High let me go, Deuteronomy 32. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, and we're reading that in Genesis 10, when he separated the sons of Adam. When did he separate the sons of Adam? During the time of Noah and his 3 sons. He set the bounds of the people according to the number of Israel. For Yahweh's portion is his people. Yaquab is a lot of his inheritance. He found them in a desert land and in the waste, howling wilderness. That's the wilderness that we went through out of Egypt. He led him about. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eyes, and that's to this very day. That's to this very day. We're the apple of the Most High's eyes. It says Psalm 17:8, keep me as the apple of the eye. So who said this? A prayer of David. So what was David really saying? He was saying, watch me because I'm an Israelite. Because who are the ones that the Most High watches as the apple of his eye? The Israelites. The Israelites. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings. From the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemy, the wicked, Malachi 1, are the Edomites. And they said, my deadly enemy. So would your deadly enemy give you a machination to help you? It says, my deadly enemy, or my deadly enemies who compass me about. And that's how we know that, it's already out. We know that General Yohanan done sold out. He done took that bag. He done took that bag like Comfy took the bag. And what did the Most High do to Comfy? He took him out of here. We're going to do the same thing to General Yohanan. So let's come back. It says, according to the number, we're back in Deuteronomy 32:8, according to the number of the children of Israel. That's the chosen people of the Most High. And they call us a hate group because we're saying that we found out that we are the Israelites. Hey, every nation is a hate group. Every nation is a hate group. You go to China and you try to set up shop and do what you want to do without going to the authorities, they're gonna kick you out of there. They're gonna lock you up. Anyway, let's come back to Genesis. Let's come back to Genesis. Okay, 5th verse, Genesis 10, verse 5. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided into their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families in their nations. So this thing about you being racist is complete bullshit, because you are supposed to be racist. You're supposed to be for your race. The so-called white man, which are the Edomites, they're supposed to be for their race. The Moabites are supposed to be for their race. So how can you equate that with hate? You're just being for your race. And the sons of Ham, Cush, which are the Ethiopians, and Mizraim, and Esau knows this. The scholars know that Mizraim are the so-called Egyptians, which are the people of south of Egypt, which is Sudan, and Put, which is North Africa, and Canaan, which are all Africans. And the sons of Cush, Sheba, and Havilah, and Sabta, and Arama, and Sabtecha, and the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord, meaning he was a conqueror. He took down those surrounding area. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter or the conqueror before the Lord, before Yahweh, because the Most High set him up to do that. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel and Iraq and Akkad and Calneh and the land of Shinar. And by the way, during the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, he wasn't a Cushite. See, High Priest Ariel used to teach that Nebuchadnezzar and his sons that ruled the Babylonian Empire, they were actually Assyrians, because it was the Assyrian Empire, and out of that Assyrian Empire, remember, it says, matter of fact, let me go to that. Like Daniel 7. Go right to the point, which is the 4th verse. The first was like a lion, and that represented the Assyrian kingdom and had eagle's wings. Now, if you go to the Met, go to the, I guess you call it the Middle Eastern section, they have those, I guess you can call it those wall carvings of a lion with eagle's wings. That represents these. They'll tell you that. Esau will tell you that. Those are the Assyrians. So who came? The Babylonian Empire came out of what people? The Assyrians. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon it, its feet as a man, and a man's heart was giving it. And that's talking about the first ruler of the Babylonian Empire that came from the Assyrians, which was a lesser empire. So now let's come back to Genesis. Okay, here we go. And I used to, years ago, you can't do it really now because of this thing that's going on. We used to take trips to the museum, and it would open your eyes. When you go to the museum, you go to certain sections of that particular museum, and you can trace it back to the scriptures. So that shows you that Esau knows, because he has relics. You know, he has things that he dug up through his archaeologists and his historians. Why do you think every university has a religious part to it? Yale has a you can go to learn religious studies. So why would Esau be so into the scriptures? Because they know that everything that's written in the Bible is true, and they know who they are. They know that they're Edomites now from us. So now as you read down, like I said, I'm going to jump around. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it just mentions a whole lot of names. Let me jump down to the 21st verse. Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth the elder, even to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam. So Elam, which are the East Indians, are Shemites. And Ashur, is Ashur, which are the Assyrians, and Aphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. When somebody says, well, he spoke Aramaic, well, where did Aramaic come from? It goes back to Aram, a Shemite, which was actually Hebrew. Aphaxad, that's where we came out of. So you had 5 sons that came out of Shem, and out of the chosen line went through Aphaxad. I'm jumping down to the 24th verse. And the Aphaxad begat Selah, and Selah begat Eber, which is Hebrew, which means the past. And unto Eber was 2 sons born. The name of one was Peleg, and the name of the, I'm saying for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother was Joktan. So out of Peleg, let me go to that. The word Peleg, the word Peleg means to divide. Now, if you go to Genesis 11, verse 16, it says, in Eber, which the word Hebrew, that's where the word Hebrew comes from, or the past, lived 430 years and begat Peleg, (17 verse). And Eber lived after he begat Peleg 430 years and begat sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years and begat Rehu. Okay, I'm back in Genesis 10. I'm looking for Rehu. Let me find Rehu. Did I fucking... Bear with me for a minute. I'm doing the video right now, the same place. We're going to the same place. Gotcha. Shalom. I got to get ready to go to camp. Anyway, bear with me for a minute. I lost my place. Okay, Eber, Peleg. Now I'm looking for Rehu. 25th verse. And unto Eber were born two sons, okay, Peleg and Joktan. So that line, let me try this again. Okay, we got Peleg, Palag, okay, let me see if Reu is in Genesis 10. Okay, he's not in Genesis 10. He's in Genesis 11. So let me come back to Genesis 11. Okay, and Peleg lived 30 years and begat Rehu. And Peleg lived after he begat Rehu 209 years and begat sons and daughters. And Rehu lived 230 years and begat Sherug. And 21st verse, Genesis 11 verse 21. And Rehu lived after he begat Sherug 200 years, 207 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Sherug lived 30 years and begat Nehor. I'm jumping down to the 24th verse, Genesis 11 verse 24. And Nahor lived 9 and 20 years and begat Terah, which is the father of Abraham. And Nahor lived after he begat Terah 119 years and begat sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram, which is Abraham, Nahor, which he named after his father, and Haran. It goes on to say, 27 verse, now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran begat Lot. Because Nahor, one of Terah's sons, had died. And by the way, Lot, the son of Haran, he is now an Israelite because he's from the sons of God. And how do we know that? Because the Most High delivered him. And the Apostle Paul referred to him as a just man, a righteous man. So for you that say, well, no, he wasn't Abraham's son, and he was one of the righteous. And Abraham loved his nephew Lot. And the Most High loved his Lot. And that's why he delivered Lot. So even though Lot had two sons, which came, you go into the history of Moab and Ammon, when he died and when he came back as an Israelite. Now his two sons, they were Moabites and Ammonites. Now I'm going to show you something here. Okay, Genesis 12 verse 1. Now Yahweh had said unto Abram, which by the way, the word Abram means exalted father. Get thee out of thy country, because what country did he come from? He came from Ur of the Chaldees. Second, let me pull up another tab. See, this is going into the history. Good to know the history. Okay, let's see if it comes up. Okay, it says Genesis 11 verse 28, and Haran died before, which was one of Abraham's brother, before his father Terah, in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldees. Now, when you jump down to Genesis 11, verse 31, and Terah took Abram his son, and Lot, the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarai, check this out, and Sarai his daughter. Who's Sarai? That's Abraham's wife, and that's also Abraham's sister. So note that down in your mental Rolodex. Let me read that again. Genesis 11 verse 31. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran, and his son's sons, and Sarai his daughter. So who did Abram marry? He married his own sister. Now you can't do that today, but the Most High wanted to keep the family, the royal line. It says, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, Sarai his daughter-in-law. So they had the same mother. Forgive me. Let me take that back. They had the same mother, but not the same father. His son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. And correct me if I'm wrong with the scripture. I'm not going to go search for it, but I'm almost positive Abraham's sister was through the mother, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, come on the comment board and fact check me, okay? Because I'm not gonna go to try to figure it out. And if I'm corrected, I'll stand corrected. It says, but they were sister and brother through one of their parents. It says, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan, and they came unto Haran and dwelt there. And I'll give you something. This is Joshua 24, verse 1 and 2. It said, and Joshua gathered all the tribes of Israel to Shechem, and called for the elders of Israel, and for their heads, and for their judges, and for their officers, and they presented themselves before the Most High. And Joshua, or Yahushai, said unto all the people, thus saith Yahweh, the Most High of Yasha'Allah, your fathers dwelt on the other side of the flood in old time. Even Terah, the father of Abraham, Abraham, his name was changed by the Most High from Abram to Abraham, which means Abraham means father of a multitude. Abraham. And the father of Nechor, and they serve other gods. So Terah was serving other gods of Ur of the Chaldees, or Sumer. They speak about Sumer, which was in that same region. Well, he was serving other gods. So the Lord pulled them out from that and said, I'm gonna introduce you to myself. I'm the true God. So the Lord wasn't dealing with Terah. He was dealing with Abraham. And the rest of Genesis 10 pretty much is he begat this one and this one begat that one. The key part of Genesis, the 10th chapter, is pretty much the first couple of verses where they speak about the nations. Then they go into the chosen nation as you read down. Let me jump down to the very last verse, verse 32. These are the families of Noah after their generations and their nations, and by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.